Have you ever noticed that your baby tends to prefer to feed on one side versus the other? Or if you look back at some pictures, recent pictures, their head is kind of tucked to one side and never really looking to the other side. If you look back in your car seat, is their head just sitting there on the one side versus the other? When they're breastfeeding, are they preferring one breast over the other? So a lot of parents think that this is just a feeding issue, but what if it's actually a neurological or structural issue? So I'm Dr. Steve Lako with Lako Family Chiropractic. I specialize in pediatrics and exactly these common things that we see in our office all the time. And today I want to go over with you what may be going on with your kiddo's nervous system or structurally in their neck, and why I will be able to tell you based on that how your pregnancy went and how the birth went. Feeding should be natural and instinctive, but it's not always that simple. When a baby prefers one side and does really well with one side, but the other side is a whole different story. It's uncomfortable for the baby cries out. You can tell the baby's in some sort of distress. The latch is really sloppy. It's just not working and it can get very frustrating. So the mom tends to blame herself for all this, but it's not always the case. Most of the time, it's the baby's body that is not allowing them to feed properly on that one side. This is often the same baby that tends to turn their head to one side and keep it there, has that favorite side that it prefers. When you look back in the car seat to check on the baby, its head is always turned to the one side and slumped down. Even when you reposition it, it ends up going back to that position. And also they can develop a flat spot on the side of their head as well. So all these are red flags to me as a pediatric chiropractor, saying that something's going on neurologically and structurally, especially in the baby's neck. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So let's talk about what's happening structurally in the baby. So we're going to focus right on that top part of the neck with C1 and C2. C1 is called the atlas, C2 is called the axis. The atlas, C1, allows the baby to nod and bring the head up and down. So if you see a baby's head kind of stuck down here or stuck back, that's going to be a structural imbalance in that C1. C2 is going to be most of our rotation that we have in our neck. So if something is stuck on one side, that means the position of that bone is stuck, allowing them to turn easily to one side, but very hard to turn to the other. You have to remember that babies can't just point to something and say, hey, it hurts here, this is where I'm stuck. We have to, as specialists, see and navigate through that course to see what's going on with the baby, see what the problem is, and then we can use gentle techniques to release that, allowing them to move more normally and naturally. So this pattern doesn't just happen randomly. There is a reoccurrence of themes that we see in the office when kids present with this stuff. Usually it's during utero, in pregnancy, and birth. So when we start really unraveling what's going on there, they could have had a very difficult pregnancy. The baby could have been in a bad position during pregnancy, forcing their head to tuck down, forcing their head to be to the side for long periods of time. And in utero, that baby just starts to develop and grow with that form. Or a very complicated birth, even not so complicated. But if there's more traction on the neck, if the doctors had to do any kind of intervention for medical reasons where sometimes they actually need to do that stuff, it can really put a lot of stress and tension on that upper cervical area in the neck, cause all sorts of issues. For example, this issue as well. That tension can carry over and start showing symptoms like feeding issues like we're talking about now, sleeping issues. It can cause digestive issues, gas issues, all sorts of different things. And really just being honest, when I have a parent come in and tell me all these things that are going on with their baby, I already know before I have to ask how the pregnancy went and or how the birth went. Was there a C-section? Were there forceps, vacuum? Was there just a prolonged period of pushing? All these complications create issues with the baby, and that stress is transformed into that baby as well. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the core issue of what's going on with your baby. It all comes down to the nervous system. So the nervous system controls and coordinates every other system in our body. We go over this chart in detail in the office because it explains how the brain, the spinal cord, the central nervous system control and coordinate every other system in the body. So let's just talk about one system, The muscular system. In your baby, if that muscular system's not working properly because the nerve flow is not getting there properly, then we're going to see issues with swallowing, sucking, rhythmically breathing, digesting, all these major things that we see symptoms with. Let's talk specifically about the upper neck area. When that area is restricted and the nervous system has tension, is not working properly, it affects how the muscles coordinate in that area. So that's why you start seeing kids that aren't latching properly, swallowing properly, they're leaking milk, they're fatigued after eating. It's not from a lack of motivation. The child wants to eat and knows how to, they can't physically do it. It's a lack of coordination. When the nervous system is affected and not fully working, a kiddo cannot perform when they are stuck in stress mode with their nervous system. I always remind parents that it's nothing that they're doing wrong. They're doing a great job. It's not because of the birth story. It's not because of what they're doing at home. Every parent wants what's best for their child, right? It's about listening and figuring out what is going on with the child's body. Once we figure that out and we find that tension, release that tension and that restriction, that's when we see the baby feeding better, latching easier, being more relaxed during feedings. It's actually incredible to see how quickly the connection and comfort improve when we remove that interference within the baby's nervous system. If you've noticed that your baby prefers to turn their head to one side, is having trouble latching, breastfeeding on both sides, having trouble swallowing too much air, a lot of different things that we talked about in this video, this should have resonated with you. It should have given you a little bit more idea of what could be going on with your baby. And we go over things like this throughout the whole page. So like and subscribe to my page. We'll go over other things like colic, fussiness, why they're not sleeping, all the big topics, and what we see in our office and what we can do to help.